Hi everyone, it's Aisha here from God FM. Hope you're all keeping well, praise the Lord. It does feel really good actually to speak your mind. And it's really nice, I want to tell you how nice it is that there are other people who are in the same boat that I'm talking to. I'm not talking to people who are controlled. I'm talking to the other gang stalkers. Gang stalked victims, I mean. Imagine being a gang stalker, hey. Can you imagine being one of those? You're paid to torture and torment your neighbor. Yeah. Anyway, there is symptoms. And I want to talk about those symptoms of the things that happen when you're under attack by the demonic forces and the people that are MK Ultra'd already under the brainwashing and mind control of 5G, the CERN, and the lights and the control grid that has enslaved them already. They're actually probably in the metaverse where you can't come back. I don't know if you know what happens when you go to the metaverse, but you go to sleep here and you wake up there and you never come back. So all those people who've sold out, that's probably what's happened to them. Because when you sell your soul, and that is selling your soul, when you do these things, you no longer have soul, and it's taken from you. That's what all the celebrities do, when they sell their souls, they want to be famous, and they do a blood covenant, and they sign in blood. The devil takes their soul and then copies them. That's why there's copyright on everything, eh? So yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the symptoms. If you are a stalked individual, or if you're just Mr. and Mrs. Average, you may get these symptoms. Ringing in the ears, really bad headaches. You'll get lots of different backache. There'll be one at the top of your neck, and it feels like your head is very heavy. Very heavy. Very painful, that one. And then there's another one where they do your shoulders. And then there is another one for the lower back. And there's one for the bum. And then there's another one that's between your bum and your privates. And why do they go for the back? Because that's your pineal gland connecting up with your back, your claustrum, your Christ oil. And also this would, through your dreams, raise you. Because God is going to raise us. Then you also get quite often bites on your shoulders and little things. You'll often get laser bites, like little round burns on your face. It isn't limited to the face, but I mean, it's mostly the face that you get the laser burns. And then they also get moles. And there's a blackish flat mole that I've noticed that has appeared. It's a new thing. I never had this one before. There's two of them I've now got. And you know what they say, if you've got a mole in the company, it's not good. You get rid of the mole, eh? So I don't like moles. So I think you should get rid of them as well. So I burn them off if I can. I had a mole under my chin, and it would always grow a hair. And I thought, I don't like you. I think that you are like an antenna. So I fried it off, and it went all blistery and whatever, and it finally came back to hardly anything now. Still got it, but that hair doesn't grow anymore. Just nice. There's an ache they give you on your knees, and on your shoulders also, and it's in the ligaments. And it feels like you've broken your shoulder or your knee. I've actually had it years ago, before I knew I was under this attack. When I was really young, I came to England at 15 years old or 16, and I was very young. And I had this terrible shoulder ache. And I even went to the doctor and said, I've hit something, I've broken my shoulder because I felt so sore. I thought I'd broken it. I've come to know that it's these weapons actually. Anyway. And the other one is knee ache. And they give you knee ache where you can't walk on your knees. And then they also give you feet problems. Lots of different things with the feet. There's the one with a needle. It feels like a needle's puncturing your bone. Then there's another one where they cook your feet. If you put your feet on the ground, especially at your house, if you're sitting down, and they burn your feet. They cook them. They boil them like you would boil something on a pot. They give you like athlete's foot. Because your feet are being boiled so much, your feet start to get sore on the outside, and the skin starts to fall off. And you get blisters. And then also when you bleed, your feet bleed, then because they're putting nano in the water, that climbs in your feet. Because your feet are the first thing to touch the ground, aren't they? So they really love to do the feet. And you get lots of little blisters. And your feet will get really cracked and old. And they will flake skin. Like, really stinky. All your nails will start to merge with your skin. Because they're being cooked. And it'd be so painful you can't walk on your feet. Yeah. And they always get little things to bite you. Bees, spiders, and all those kind of things. You might find that you get styes, and these are also connected. Cysts as well. All connected with this stuff. The ringing in the ears, usually what you have in the ears or around the ear is bites. So you need to have a good scratch around. Also hairs. Your hair of your head. They will put in copy hairs that are not real hairs but are antennas to twirl around and dig into your skin and become like a little factory for this stuff. And there was another one I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, the shaking. So it's not normal when you sit in a chair for the earth to vibrate. And it isn't me, because I've tested it, right? And I can switch the shaking off because I'm quite good at electronics now. And I can also put one of my devices over the area that is sending this message, and it will stop. So they do a vibrational thing. It's like a shaking. So you know, little babies, well, if you shake a baby and keep shaking that baby, eventually it'll die because its brain is being shaken inside its skull. So they like to do the shaking, and it's like a bit like a vibrator. There is another one they do, and this one, they do the vibrator one anywhere, but particularly couches and beds. And they'll do it, and it's connected with the lights, by the way. It's the earth wire of the lights and the fans. So if you want that to stop, you need to disconnect your lights. The burning bum is also the lights. Actually, I think all of it is the lights, controlled by the lights. There is a really, really bad one, which is like a thundering noise. And it's, it feels like your head is being put through an incinerator. It's like a rumbling noise. And it gives you such a headache, it feels like your head's going to explode. And that's usually connected to the boiler or fridge. I like the fridge the most. The fridge is your basic problem. You need to shield that thing. It's often because they put nano in the water. They do the same with your car. Nano in the water then is controllable from across the road by anybody that wants to control it and hurt you. Because remember, these people have been paid to torture you, and they don't get paid unless they do it. The vibrating in the bed is, they do several different ones. So there's one with a bigger vibration, and it's like a shaking. Then I do another one that's like a little vibrator. And I can tell you that when this first happened to me, I was frightened. I said to God, I don't like this at all. What's going on? Little did I know that this was all of the little things that the people had modified in the house. There's another one they do which feels like a washing machine, and it feels like the bed's spinning, and you can feel each spin of the washing machine, and it is connected to the washing machine. And when I've come downstairs and the washing machine's unplugged, yeah, I've put my head behind the washing machine and I can hear it doing the motions and all the noises of a full cycle. And it is doing a full cycle, but it's not plugged in. And it's at a lower frequency, and I can hear it. I can also hear the sound waves of the microwave weapons. And they do that through the TV. A lot of people's TVs blow up because they've modified the TV to spy on you, but also to cook you. The TV will communicate with the washing machine and the fridge. If you get all this stuff off, you'll always get people saying, let's watch a movie. And you'll think, oh, it's okay. I've unplugged the aerial and it's just standard TV now. No, they can do everything through aerials and Wi-Fi. I've tried everything. TV is a bad thing. You want to get one of those switches that you can switch everything off by pressing a button. It's a plug. And you get them from they're old from EDF. It's called a master socket for TV. You want to get one of those, and basically you want to get one for every plug socket of your house if you can, because these people have rigged up every socket to be on positive all the time, live, even when you power everything off. They like to take over plug sockets and lights. Why? Because they're going to use them to torture you. That's why. They really like the cooker, and they put something inside the cooker that burns your eyes. And that's been going on all my life. So I know now that these guys have been coming in my home and doing all these things. But it didn't happen to me when I was married. It only happened after I was divorced. Another thing that I've had is I've had a little bit of ash put on my pillow. And I believe that's all part of the witchcraft. The other thing they like to do is change the language on the phone. They love to do that. Alright, so these are the main ones, and there's probably some more. There's one that's connected with the fire alarms. There's two different ringing noises. There's one that is done by the lights and the other one done by the sockets. So I found at my old house the lights didn't work, but these guys had control of it. So if I wanted to turn off the ringing, I'd just switch the switch in my bedroom, and then I'd switch the switch in my dressing room, and it would switch off the lights. When this first started at my old house, I noticed people kept plugging things into the TV speaker, the jack, and then everything would start happening. I thought they know what they're doing. These were students. And I also had this one night. We had got everything off and it was lovely in the house. And the student went through to the bathroom and he said, night, night. And as he went through to his bedroom, it's a Spanish guy. It all started to happen. Yeah. I've had it where I've actually been sat on a couch with my students and they've been sitting there with their phone doing things to me. And I knew it because they've got control of my biometrics. And I was like, wow. And I couldn't really look this person in the face after that. I didn't really want them in my house after this. I was really glad when they departed because they were letting in strangers in the night. By the way, this all started with a little Chinese student. You didn't believe in God. At the time, I had a Chinese student when Reese Anderson came to stay. Yeah, then it all kicked off. Now, I noticed that most of this is controlled through the TV. Because I noticed after Reese Anderson left my house, I'd been up to see him, and when I got home, someone had moved my TV. It was during the days after seeing him, or around that time. It was on the Thursday that I noticed it, and I'd been to see Reese Anderson. I think it was on the Wednesday. Anyway, I had some flowers next to the TV, and they were in a different place. And I thought, oh, someone's moved some things around. So anyway, I thought someone's been in my house, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I didn't like that. So I thought, I'm gonna change the locks. So I did. And When I changed the locks that night, I had a lady friend over, and she was sitting with me, and we heard someone trying to come in with their keys, because they had keys, and because I changed the locks, they couldn't get in. And then I knew. So yeah, something funny is going on here. But why did they have to send Reese Anderson in? Because I had cameras outside, watching the road, watching the wall. But it wasn't plugged in, but they didn't know that. So they had to come in. So anyway, when this all started, as I say, the students would go to school, and it would all start, yeah, because they'd set it all off before they went off to their student school, right, to learn English and get a bit of pocket money for torturing someone. Bastards. And then it would start vibrating and things, and I'd think, yeah, ringing. The ringing only came much later. Well, no, there was this ringing, and it was so high pitched it really hurt your head. And so, what I do is I just go and switch on the TV and switch off the TV from the master plug socket. You know, just the plugs. And then I'd go and switch off the internet switch it back on again. Switch on the speaker, switch off the speaker. Then I'd go round to the hall, and I'd switch off the light and switch on the light. Then I'd go through to my room, switch on the plug and switch it off. And it would all stop. The other thing I'd do is put the water heater on. Run the hot water, and then quickly switch it off from a switch while it was running. And then it would switch it all off as well. Thought, yay. And then they'd turn up for lunch, and they'd all be angry. Or one of them would always come back early, try and switch it all back on again. So yeah, and what they do is they add because I've done a lot of studies on this, is they add additional earth current to your wiring. They connect an earth current to the water supply so that you're not earthed. This is what causes the problems. They also fit amplifiers type things. And they do that usually in the corner of the first floor. Like, I found it. I saw these guys put it in my old house, so I know. It's about the size of a battery. Vernon Court, flat 4. It had a jet-out sort of balcony. And on the corner of that, and you can actually see the corner of it from the road, when they put the scaffolding up and they were climbing in my house and taking off the windows and everything else, they were having a great old time. I saw Simon, who worked for Heritage Hotels, Applebee's, put a little square thing on the corner of that area. And what would happen, because I'd always sit there, and it would always vibrate. And but if I poured water on it, it certainly fucking stopped. Let's put it that way. Because this was an electrically plugged-in thing for torture. And I knew these guys had done it. Not only this, my cat, if he saw these guys on the scaffolding, he'd run away. He was so frightened of them. And he had a sore back. My cat. One day when I came home, he had a really sore back. Because someone had been in my house and done something to my cat. Anyway, Gary started to be... My cat is called Gary. He always used to be very friendly with anybody. But now, he doesn't like anyone. Now he only likes me. He's still friendly, but he's very wary. And he's frightened, especially of men. I don't know why. Something must have happened to the poor thing. So, on your windows, if you've got little round hinges on the inside, they take those out. There's a pin that joins the hinges. They take those out so that they can get in your house. And it doesn't matter what type of lock you've got. You can have a double lock. These guys are coming in if they want in. So the best thing you can do is put a padlock on the outside with a combination lock, so they have to sit and fiddle there and everyone will watch them. So that's what I thought anyway, but until I found out that most of my neighbours are involved in it. So I make devices to neutralize the currents that they're running. And I'm going to tell you how to make it, if you want to. They're very good. They will stop you having pain. And if you sleep with them all night, then all the shaking that they do won't affect you the next day. Because the shaking is what affects you the next day. Because they do something through the shaking. And here it is. I get 4 little magnets. I take out the little bit of paper. I make a coil out of speaker wire. It doesn't have to be big. Wrapping a loop, maybe 5-10 loops, and then I loops all the way around. Then you got 2 ends, haven't you, with 2 sets of wires. I make sure that the plastic's off and the wires are exposed, and then I twist them up and I merge them all together, and I face them back down into the magnet, and I do it real tight. And then so I do it in each magnet, and then I close it up, and this takes all the energy that has been pumped in your floor and puts it through the coils, and then when it comes back out again, it's positive and it's good energy then, and it doesn't hurt you and it actually makes you feel good. So you can do that. The other thing you can do is with these little coils, instead of joining them together, is you then get some wire and you loop it around each battery and you join it back up to one of the coils that you've made, and you can do 4 of those. And this will help you also. If you make one of these with just 4, but they need to be big magnets, okay? Really. But you can do smaller ones as well. When this first started, I was able to do that, and I would put some wire under my mattress, and I had a metal mattress, one of those spring ones, and I slept like a baby. The shaking would happen and I'd wake up feeling great. So that was very good. But then they got wise to that and they made some modifications, so it stopped working, unfortunately. So I make lots of different things to help me. Sometimes I will do speaker wire, and I like to take wires apart. So what I do, your telephone socket. Well, they do use this, don't they? They love the telephone socket. They have something set up to pump your house with radiation, right? So if you've got a router, unplug it, but unplug it from the router as well occasionally. Very good to reset it. What I did is I made a cable. I got aerial wire, cut a strip of that. A little bit of telephone cable, cut a strip of that. A jumping jack, for the speaker, one of those. And I join it all up together. And I bring them all to a head where I've exposed the wires, and then I've got various heads, and then I'll plug it in to one of the things that they're using, and it will stop it, because now it's saying I'm an aerial. No, you're not. You're a telephone cable, and you're meant to be a telephone cable. You're not meant to be here to torture me, okay? And the same with the aerial. What's funny to do is one of these things with an aerial and attach some magnets. That will mess up everything. They like to do everything through the aerial. So you can always attach one of those to your TV and make one. They're fun to make. A little bit of leftover wire. So that's what I recommend. One time, because I like magnets, I had lots of pot magnets. So I ended up putting them inside a sleeping bag, and I sewed them into the sleeping bag. And I think I had about 38 of them, and lay them under my mattress. And then I lay some wires on top. And boy, did I sleep well. But I also had before that happened, but these guys found out, and then they made me get headaches and problems by having that. So I had to change it again. And I got rid of the spring mattress because they swapped my mattress. I don't know what they did, but they swapped my mattress. So I thought, right, I don't like that mattress. It was like really old or something. So I had to buy a new one. I prefer a foam mattress now. So that's a bit better. When the foam mattress arrived, it was wonderful. I slept really well. Until they've been in and done some modifications. Now what they will do is they will move the bed, because they've got to lie it on the current that they're directing at you, so it shakes the bed. So if you move the bed, you'll find it stops. But it also depends how often these people come in your house, hey? Like in my case, I found out I had a bathroom window that didn't close properly, but it seemed to lock, but it didn't. And they were coming in the bathroom window, and they've done something terrible to the bathroom. It's become like a radiation center. And they all like to switch their lights on and face the bathroom, and then all the stuff starts. So that's what happens when they get in regularly. So the other thing is, if you brush your hair, use a hairbrush. Put your hairbrush in a drawer and burn your hair. Before you brush your hair, take your hair off, and afterwards, and burn your hair. So I think it's something in the toilet pipes, the drains, because they're always digging up the drains. And what I actually think is they do something underneath your house. Suddenly in my old house, I would hear and smell them under my bedroom. The guy from Apex Construction was living below me and climbing in his loft, which connected with under my floorboards, and they were putting in all sorts of pipes and everything, and I could hear them moving around and doing their stuff while I was trying to sleep. I mean, it was a full-time operation. There was one guy, and he drove a black Land Rover, and he was very, very good. And I mean, anyone else they hired, I could get the stuff off, but with him, I couldn't. And anyway, he would leave at about 6:30 in the morning, and then it would all stop, and then I could go back to sleep. But he'd also send in, I think, one of his relatives, a young boy. Now the one who lives next door in the shed. Same boy. I think it might be him that has all the skills. He's been trained by his father or whatever, brother. So yeah, same sort of thing happened here. It would all happen all night, and then about 6:30, it would all stop as if he's got to go to his daytime job now. Bastards. And these people were definitely under my bedroom because I could smell that smoke. And it was like a tobacco cigarette, one of those horrible brown cigarette smoking things. Really stunk. Very, very bad. And I've also had it where I live now, in the main entrance. So when I first moved here, I could smell that smell. So they'd followed me. I also found a clip-on light attached to the gas pipe facing the electric box for the main building, as if someone had been working there during the night. And I had that and claimed it for me. And I used it for a bit. It was a solar light. These guys like to use solar and hire people involved in solar. They like roofers. They like anybody who deals with scaffolding and the pipes. You've always got plumbers. When I first moved here, there was all sorts of plumbers who turned up for next door. And I saw all the vans with all the pipes coming out of his van and all sorts of copper pipes and everything. So it's all to do with plumbing. When I was in my old house, all the Wi-Fi's were for plumb line location, heritage hotels. Because Simon, what he would do is he'd somehow extend the Wi-Fi for heritage hotels all the way up to my apartments. And I noticed that it seemed that when I got the stuff off, the heritage hotel Wi-Fi went off as well. That's what I noticed. Heritage hotels is Applebee's, and Simon used to live at Applebee's in his van, which is just down the road from me. Yeah. I actually, one time, it was quite frightening when this was happening, and I knew it was happening, and I would see Brian Harris on his balcony every time I got the stuff off, on his phone, with little boys with hooded tops, and the guy from Pink would come, Dean, come and do a sound test for the fire alarms. Not for really the fire alarms, it's so they can work out the sound vibrations to torture you, how far away they need to be. So I worked out anyway. So as I was saying, the Simon guy, I would hear like a phone. And also there was a little doorbell thing that fitted through in my hallway. When I left my bedroom, it would go ding ding, as if it was alerting someone. Yeah, it was creepy. So one day I was standing by my balcony window looking down at Applebee's, And there was Simon. And Simon was there with a sort of a yellowy, reflective top jacket, which you normally get for workmen of the roads and things. And he was meeting with some other people there. As he came up the stairs, he looked up at me and he waved at me. Yeah? Then he went over to these guys who were sitting on this chair at Applebee's, and they all looked up and he pointed up at me, and then he waved and they all waved at me. About 6, 8 men. And I realized then that this was a very, very satanic, evil gang. And they were out to destroy me. It was really frightening. The guy from Apex Construction is also very good with cars. I saw him taking his car apart outside and fixing his car. And I know that my car was meddled with. I wouldn't be surprised if it's him. All right. I'm just giving you my stories, right? What I'd do when this was really bad, because I was on my own, I was quite frightened. I'd get electrical shocks on the plug sockets and things. And I'd see Mr. Apex Construction's Land Rover coming down the drive. And I'd run. And I'd switch off the power. And I would have no power until he left the next day. Because I knew he was doing all these things. Until they found a way to power it regardless. Yeah. Horrible it was. And the same thing happened here. When I first moved here, I'd just switch off the power and everything would go off. But now they've done it so that I can't switch off the power. Because when they want to torture you, they made sure that the power's on. That's my story. Being gang stalked. They kept coming in my house here. Not just through the bathroom, but also through the lounge windows with the handles that didn't lock properly. The mechanism was missing pieces. So I had to buy new window handles. When I was putting them on, I would hear people slamming doors and all the rest of it. Whenever I have victory, there's slamming of doors next door. So if you want to stop this stuff, I'm going to do a video of what you can do to stop it as well. Put your shower in a bucket of water. The shower head. Get some plants and put them in your sink. Cover all your sinks. Cover all your taps with a sock and a hairband. The nano is in the water and you need to filter it, even to wash in it. And because they pump it, your house full of this stuff, it climbs on the walls and then it bites you. But it also connects the grid. It's very fine, it's like fine cat hair. Very fine. Very hard to see it. And then there's little dots of it as well. If they get a little bit of nano on your plug, then they can control that plug. It's crazy, it is. My friend Ruff, he bought a new machine to check the electrics because he's having the same problem. Ruff Love, look him up. But he's a cyber expert as well. And anyway, within 3 days they got to this machine by putting nano on. So I love to do everything through the oven and the hood. I've actually heard laughing as if there's a speaker in the hood. But that stopped when that was in my old house. And that stopped because I unplugged the thing. When I worked out what was going on, I went around and I unplugged everything. And it all stopped. It all stopped. Now they found a way to switch it on, even when it's unplugged. Yeah. So their favorite thing is to synchronize it to the fire alarms. Fire alarms can watch you. There's lots of fire alarms now. I've got little cameras inside. And my boiler has got a Bluetooth inside it. But I don't know how to get rid of that. I'd have to take the boiler apart, and I'm a bit frightened to do something like that, so it'll have to stay there. But I do put a magnet on the boiler sometimes, and that helps. So this is what I'm thinking. So I hope this helps you. If you're in Torquay and you notice a guy with a pink van and a guy with a black Jaguar convertible, and a guy called Dean, Brian Harris, Simon, and they're always round, and you've got Roman outside. Apex Construction. Any of these vans. Apex Construction guy drives a black Land Rover. I think he's taken his branding off. But he also has a gold, like a Land Rover-y thing. And they go around with a little boy and his wife. Sometimes. Not all the time. So I think that they live somewhere. And then they do this part-time, in their other time. So I think. Anyway. So if you've got one, the Apex Construction guys are dark-haired. They look like the boys from Brazil. Have you watched that film? The Boys from Brazil? Where they're all clones? They look like them. Blue eyes, black hair. Two of them. One a bit older than the other. And then I think they're all connected with roofers and solar scaffolders, all the rest of it. Their favorite thing is to connect you up to somebody else's Wi-Fi and control everything. They put with your telephone line, they connect your telephone line with someone else's who has got control over your telephone line. Then what they do is they put a little wire between the telephone line and the lights. So when your telephone line goes on, the lights, which now do ringing, emit the sound. All right? And then they also put earth pipe wires on the water, especially the hot water pipes. There's a lady who does that one, and she's in a black 4x4 Land Rover. Every time it started, it was her parked outside. I'd sit, because I could see everything from that house. So if you get any of that with a lady with a black Land Rover, not a black Audi 7-seater type thing, blonde lady, very pretty lady, yes. And then you also get there's a black van with a young electrician boy, and they seem to do something with the cars, make the alarm go off drain the battery. And one time, there was a black van downstairs, and there was a young boy electrician, and they were laughing at me. And my car, I locked it, and the alarm went off. And then this boy looked at me, and he went, woo, 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 you know? And he must have been about 19. And I thought, you bastards. You know what you're doing, eh? So it's a black van, and there's white vans as well. But there's a black van, and it's driven by a guy with lots of tattoos, big bloke, who's part of the same team. And you might see him around as well. All right? If you do and you're in Torquay, you need to watch out. All right? I know 2 other victims in the town who have had problems. So, but if you are under attack, you may not be able to see the vehicles, but you may recognize them from what I said. And you might go, oh, I've seen the pink van outside. It might be 1 or 2 roads away. Yeah. What I've noticed now is they like to park a little bit further away, so I don't know they're here. Or they'll just move into the shed next door permanently. And when I've seen them going in, they sort of keep a low profile because they don't really want me to know they're living there. But I've seen them a few times now. Okay. It's Aisha from God FM. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I hope this helps you. Take care. You know how to reach me. admin@godfm.org.uk and +44 0777 35 77788. Oh, by the way, if you get bum ache, it's caused by the cooker or the microwave. All of it's controlled by the boiler if you've got one. And most people have boilers, doesn't matter if it's gas or not. They always controlled everything through the boiler in my old house and this one. All right? Something to do with the hot water. Don't know why. Washing machine and fridge should be unplugged if you are targeted. Take out the fuse and put something else in the fuse area so that it knows it's off. All right? Kettles and toasters are the worst. They're the ones that cause the feet to cook. The kettle is the one that causes the feet to cook and the vibrating floor. The toaster I found seems to be connected with neck ache. So I wouldn't have any toasters, kettles, or any appliances on the main surfaces, because what they've done is they've rigged it up to suck the power off the surface. So if you're like me and you're targeted, you basically have to be very careful what you have on any surface, and certainly you don't want a vacuum on the floor. If you're going to have a vacuum, I had to get rid of mine. They use that to set everything up. The vacuum is a very powerful thing. That causes the shaking mainly. So what you can do is sit it on top of a box, on top of some tin foil, several layers of it. But that won't stop it for long. They'll find another way to activate it. So if you're like me, you'll get rid of it. And I use a wet cloth now to wash the floors. I don't use a vacuum. I have a wet and dry vacuum, which used to live in a little cupboard outside. But they got to that. My friend's borrowing it now. If you've got anything electrical in your shed, they will link it all up with that. You know, any lawnmower type thing, electric, they will look at hooking everything up. Yeah. Why did they put the blower on? That's just to link everything, but also the fans are to mask the radiation vibrations. Yeah. Okay. It's Aisha from God FM. Take care. I just want to add, obviously there's all the other symptoms, like you're being hacked, all right, and your phone behaving funny and all the rest of it. Cover your phone cameras, back and front. All right? Take care. Oh, and get some speakers. Plug them into your phone. the cable ones, and put them in your ears. That helps as well.